Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salawat ala rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today's khutbah is on the mother of the believers, Zainab. May Allah be pleased with her. Zainab radiallahu anha is from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, from Sayyid Quraysh, from the best of Quraysh. And she was married to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that was a miraculous marriage because it went away with the laws that were previously followed by the Arab. That the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had an adopted son, and she was his wife. And when they divorced, the Prophet ﷺ was ordered to marry her. And in Arab customs, this was against their customs. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to make the law of Allah the dominant law. And that way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Zayd radiallahu anhu, the adopted son of the Prophet ﷺ, is not his real son, but an adopted son. Therefore, his ex-wife was not prohibited to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anyway, Sayyidina Zainab radiallahu anha was very unique in the sense that she was very, very generous. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said a beautiful hadith when he was close to his death. He said, the one of my wives with the longest arm will be the one that follows me first. So after the demise of the Prophet ﷺ, the ladies used to measure each other's arms to see whose arm was longest. And it was actually another mother of the believer, Sayyida Sauda, that was, her arms were longest. So they expected her to pass away first, but they were surprised that Sayyidina Zainab radiallahu anha passed away first, and then they understood the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The longest arm didn't mean physically the longest arm, it meant the one that was most generous in spending. Sayyidina Zainab radiallahu anha was very famous for her spending. You know, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Bayt al-Mal, the public treasury, gave the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the mothers of believers, an income, a stipend every year. And the stipend was about 100,000 dinars, which was a good amount in a year. She would spend that money all year. There would be none left at the end of the year to collect zakat. She never paid zakat because she never had money left over. One time, at the time of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, there was a war, and there was a large booty collected, and her part of the booty, Sayyidina Zainab, was 100,000 dinars in one go. So they sent that money, and she collected that money in the middle of her room and covered it with a cloth, and then she brought small bags to that mound of money, and she put her hand underneath without looking and counting. She just took a handful and put it in a cloth, gave it to her servant and said, take it to this house. Took it out, take it to this house. She kept doing this until the mound was completely finished. Imagine giving it 100,000 dinars. At that time, that was like a billionaire. The Prophet said, when he heard she did this, he sent another 1,000 dinars to her and said, keep this for yourself. And she even said, subhanAllah, I don't want to finish the year even with this amount of money in my possession. And subhanAllah, she passed away before the end of that year. Radiallahu anha, may Allah be pleased with her. Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu anha gave witness of her good character. She said she is the most generous, and she connects all of her relations. She was very, very, very wary about spending, to such a degree she learnt a trade, she learnt a profession, she learnt how to make leather goods. And they asked her, why did you learn this? You know, you've got money coming to you, why did you do this? She said, I want to earn from my own hands and then spend that money to please Allah. This is how concerned she was about giving money that was pure for the sake of Allah, to gain His pleasure. So what a great example for us to look at our income and to reevaluate, to ensure that our income is from halal sources and that we are spending in sufficient quantities. where those need it, whether locally, whether abroad, whether in war-torn areas, that we need to support the ummah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to use the things that Allah has entrusted to us for His pleasure and for our betterment, both in dunya and our protection in the akhirah, in the next world. وأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.